You're welcome to enjoy the show. And we are now recording, and we are about to go live to YouTube. And we are about to go live to YouTube and about to go live. Hello, God bless, and welcome. I'm Kevin Haggerty. You're watching the Godlogic Project, where we discuss maintaining a Christian worldview in a post-Christian America. What that means to you is we kind of discuss current events or life issues, but we do so or try to do so from a Christian perspective. We have a very interesting show tonight. I have a guest in the studio that I've known for a little while, and it turns out she's starting a high school for kids that struggle with addiction. So they're going to be able to get recovery programs in their high school. They're going to be able to get academics and also any kind of emotional or psychological support that they need at this high school. It's called Victory High School. We're calling it Recovery High School because, you know, that's what's marketable. So I'm going to introduce you to my guest right now, but first, the intro music. Hello, God bless, and welcome. I'm Kevin Haggerty, and this is the Godlogic Project.
Shut up, Kevin.
That's right, I'm Kevin Haggerty. That's Mike Houston telling me to shut up like he does every week. Before we get started, guys, I want to thank you for supporting the Godlogic Project. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, ring the alert bell, give it a thumbs up. That helps with the algorithms, help spread the word for the Godlogic Project and some of the important work we do here. Speaking of that important work, if there's anything I can do for you guys, message me, godlogicproject.com. You need help with addiction, recovery, emotional support. If I don't have the resources to help you, I'll find them, or I'll let you know that I don't. But if you just need prayer, feel free to message me, Pastor Kevin, at godlogicproject.com. If there's anything I can do for you, it's kind of what the Godlogic Project does is try to help the community as much as we can. It's why we do what we do here, and that's why we're here tonight. Now, I want to thank you guys before we start for supporting the Godlogic Project by, if you're shopping on Amazon anyway, going to godlogicproject.com, clicking on the Amazon logo, and then shopping like normal. But Amazon will then send the Godlogic Project like 2% of your purchase or something like that. But it does help pay the bills around here. I appreciate you guys that are doing it, and I'm encouraging you guys that haven't been doing it to begin to do it. But if you're shopping on Amazon anyway, it's a free way to support the Godlogic Project. A not free way to support the Godlogic Project is at anchor.fm /Godlogic Project. All these links are in the notes in the comment section below. But if you go there, you can pledge $1, $5, or $10 or something like that. Maybe any amount you want. I don't know. I only set it up. I have no idea what I did. But there's folks helping to support the Godlogic Project on a monthly basis there with just a couple of bucks, and we do appreciate that too. Now, live in the studio, I have Miss Tina Levene. Now, Tina, you and I know each other. We've actually been at parties together. But for a lot of these folks, they don't know you. So introduce yourself and give them a little bit of your background. Who is Tina Levene?
Is a Scorpio, and my favorite color is purple, and my social security number is 2. So, no, I'm joking. So I have never been in a room that has more cameras than Walmart makeup aisle. There's so many cameras here, I just don't know which one to look at.
Oh, Big Brother's watching.
Oh, my
It's
goodness.
safer just to make eye contact with me.
I swear I didn't pick up any mascara or
If
razors.
anything's missing from this studio, we're going to know.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, this is wild. And Godlogic Project, I'm glad you explained it because I thought you just actually made that up because it rhymed kind of, Logic Project, But anyway, so I'm Tina Levene, and first and foremost, I'm a child of God. Hello.
There you go. Woo! Hold on.
I'm a child of God, number one. I'm a woman in long-term recovery, and what that means is that I haven't had a substance in 22 years. So I got sober.
Congratulations. That's got to feel
at
good.
5 years old.
Me too, as a matter of fact.
No, 23 years old. Yeah, thank you. By the grace of God.
Yeah.
There go I. So he is good. That is for sure. He is good, good, good. And I'm also a motivational speaker and
Excellent.
an author of 5 books and a Christian comedian.
So you've been sober a long time, 22 years, 2 decades. And in that time, instead of just getting sober and getting a 9-to-5, which you did, we know your background, you were in social work, right?
Yes,
so
in juvenile justice.
Your juvenile justice. I needed that when I was a kid, so we have that kind of thing in common, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've written a few books in that time. You've gone out of your way. You've gone above and beyond to try to reach people and help people, not just because you're getting paid for it, but because it's serving God's kingdom. It's a thing to do. So what were some of the things you did in that 22 years? We got a kind of a big announcement. What I think is a big announcement. We're going to get to that. By the way, we're also going to open the phone lines up, so you'll be able to call and ask questions and talk to Tina or myself and ask questions. So hang in there. We're going to open the phone lines up in a little bit. But what were some of the things you were doing besides the 9-to-5 grind to make this place a better place, right? So writing books, you were working with other people, serving in church. What were some of the other things you were doing?
So actually, when I first got sober, I was 23 years old in Akron, Ohio, and
what a coincidence!
I know,
that's where it all began.
Great place to get sober, right? I mean, there was like meetings 24/7, and I actually attended 116 meetings in 90 days. I wasn't court ordered.
Really?
Like, I wanted to break the world record, I guess. So, and like we had shared, before this show, actually, that as a young person in Alcoholics Anonymous, you were 21, I was 23, and we were young.
Yeah, there was no,
back then.
Right now there's even young people groups and stuff,
Yes.
But back then it was, there was newcomer groups, but there were no young people.
It was just us. And so the old timers used to say to me, the older men, and they would say, my maiden name was Miller, so they called me Miller. And they'd be, Miller, I spilled more alcohol than you ever drank. And so, I was sarcastic and a comedian. And so I'd look at them and I'd be like, well, if you would have drank that alcohol and not spilled it, you might have gotten sober when at the same age I did. You'd be here at 23 too.
If you were a little better at it.
Yeah. So I always joke around that I became a professional. I became a professional drinker, and that's what got me in the rooms. And actually, I did 1 year of Al-Anon before, because my father was an alcoholic, and he screwed us up. And so I go to Al-Anon thinking I'm going to blame him for everything. And then I learned, I'm an adult. I got to take responsibility and, clean up my side of the road. And then I was working my fourth step in Al-Anon, and then boom, bam. Tina was going to Al-Anon meetings drunk.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
I realized I was an alcoholic. And so to start off in recovery, I did something for the young people. And I started young people's Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. And sometimes I would sit there by myself and twiddle my thumbs. Sometimes, I'd make a pot of coffee. I don't even drink coffee. Actually, Kevin, I got banned from making coffee ever again in Ohio.
Do we want to know why? Was it like a state ordered, or is it an internal thing?
It's a state order. I don't drink coffee. I love the smell. Don't drink it. And I wanted to do service at an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, so I'll do coffee. Let's just say, I got banned. They're like, it wasn't even like edible, it wasn't even drinkable. So I just emptied ashtrays back then, It maybe swept the floor. So anyways, I started these young people AA meetings, and so they started to come, and it was great. And I realized I had more in common with the young people than I did, at the other meetings. But I still went to the other meetings because I think it's important. I learned early on in my recovery to surround yourself with the winners.
Yeah.
It's important for us to help people when they come through the door. But it's also important for us to surround ourselves with people that are successful, that are positive. I wanted to hang out with the winners.
Yeah.
And so I did that. I surrounded myself with positive people, but I would still help other people. Now, I was an atheist when I got sober.
That takes some work.
It took a lot of work.
There's a chapter about that.
Yeah, there is in my book. Did you read it? No. A couple of chapters, actually. But yeah, so I was an atheist, and I tried every religion there was.
Me too. I looked into all of them.
Yeah, because I wanted to be open-minded, And, so I was an atheist for many years. And then, God just hooked me in. And
he imposed his will on you. That's kind of what happened to me. I was not looking to become a Christian. In fact, I was kind of on a roll. I wasn't in jail when I got saved. I was like, things were going good.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is going to screw me up.
That's right.
This is putting a little hitch in my giddy up here, Lord.
Yes.
So it is. So you do now public speaking. How long have you been doing public speaking?
So I actually started in high school in theater. I was in the drama club. I performed on stage. Always had humorous little parts in that. Well, then I also was on the speech team where I actually competed in speech tournaments. Humorous interpretation. You'll love this. So you memorize a 10-minute cutting and then you act it out. And so I had maybe 13 characters in that 10 minutes that I would have to actually act out.
Yeah.
And it was funny. But I'll tell you, it was the best training for stand-up comedy because you walk into the room and there's like 15, 20 contestants and 3 judges, and they're all like this.
Yeah, those are tough crowds.
And then the contestants are like trying to psych you out. So and they're like trying to take a nap, but you have to keep going. So it really trained me in my comedy to actually keep going on with the show, Well, people don't realize, but you and I did stand-up comedy when we're talking in the early 90s, right? So it was way back in the beginning of my recovery. And the first time I did an open mic in a full crowd, I was number 2 of 6 amateurs or whatever. And the first number 1 got booed off the stage. And this was my first night, and I'm number 2, So it's rough.
I almost made a run for it. I was scared.
It is rough.
And I did an audition where nobody was looking at a comedy club in Tampa to open up for Paul Rodriguez to be one of those guys.
Wow.
And they didn't even smile. They didn't even look up. And then they said they turned on the lights, the microphone, everything, and made me do stand-up for nobody. Yeah. And they said, that was funny. Can you be here at 7?
You're like, I got the job. I got to tell you real quick. So when I got saved, back in 2002, and then I didn't really do comedy in that, I did a little bit of dirty comedy, but tried to clean it up. Anyways, then when I came down here to Florida, there's just something in me, and somebody encouraged me, and they're like, you should really try like Christian comedy. And so I went to this bar. They had an open mic at a bar.
Perfect.
Which I don't suggest, but and so I go in and I do this 10-minute cutting, which I wrote and everything. And there's these 2 guys at the back of the bar. And one's a Christian comedian and the other is not. And so, and they're pretty well known in this Tampa Bay area. So afterwards, I go up to him and I'm like, so what do you think? The one guy, no lie, he looks at me, he goes, well, the last 3 minutes were good. And I went, there's hope.
That's 3 minutes.
I was like, yes, there's hope. I have a chance. So what I did is I took that last 3 minutes and then I made it into a 15-minute cutting.
They literally only give you, in the beginning, they only give you 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 7 minutes.
It's rough.
10 minutes is a nice cut. And so you've got to bring your A game to get 3 minutes, get people to laugh in 3 minutes. They got to laugh at the first one, or you're in big trouble, So it's a lot of pressure. So, but that had to help with your public speaking, right?
Yes.
So you're like a motivational speaker. So you don't just you make it funny, but you encourage people while you do it.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So some of the topics are leadership and self-care and wellness management. So because I've worked in social work and juvenile justice, those are really, really high burnout professions.
Yeah.
And I actually just presented a keynote at a conference one time about self-care and wellness, but I threw in humor and everyone loved it. And then I went to another conference and everybody had told each other, and it was standing room only, like 150 people. They crammed into this room.
That's got to feel good.
And I was like, oh my goodness. And then that's when I was like, I should start charging people for this. If God gives you this gift. Yeah. And actually God shared that with me because I was struggling. I would literally like drive across the state, speak for free. And God's like, whoa, I gave you a gift that is valuable.
Yeah.
Like you can provide for your family, And so I started charging in that, and wow, I mean, and he blows me away.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just such a blessing for me and my family, to be able to provide.
Oh yeah, and it's a blessing to be a blessing when you find your thing, right? So
yes.
not everybody has the same gift. So when we find that gift, and my gift, if I have one, came from adversity, right? So how did I handle adversity the last 30 years, particularly the last 10 years, and didn't drink or didn't drug or didn't do anything stupid, which, is my MO. But from that, then people draw hope. So there is, I say it a lot, and people probably get tired of hearing it. I get tired of saying it sometimes, but bad things don't happen to us; they happen for us. It's really our perspective. How do we receive the tough times? How do we grow from those tough times? And or do we just feel sorry for ourselves? Right? Do we wallow in guilt, or do we have conviction to improve, to move forward? That's really kind of to give anybody a basis of advice, a foundation for change in their life, it'd be stop looking at everything that happens to you as a curse, that God's mad at you. He may be just molding you and shaping you.
Absolutely.
John 15 says we're going to be pruned. It feels like punishment, but we're not pruned because of punishment. Punishment is fire, right? In John 15, but we're pruned that we would bear more and better fruit, right? So there is a reason we're pruned. We have to learn from this. We have to grow from this, that we would then bear more and better fruit. So I think folks just kind of take themselves too seriously.
Yes.
And it becomes the hardest part of living a productive life is just being too hard on ourselves, And they think they're like, I'm everywhere I go. Anybody that knows me will tell you I'm like the village idiot, right? And mostly because you follow me on Facebook,
Oh my.
Mostly because I just don't take myself too seriously.
Yes.
I take my recovery, my ministry
Yes.
seriously. But I don't take Kevin the plumber or Kevin the pastor so seriously, and it's just much easier.
It is.
So
yeah.
The reason we're here, and we're going to open up the phone lines, by the way, guys, in just a couple of minutes. But the reason you're here is really epically cool. So you are starting. You got the idea. Well, tell the story. I know the story. Tell them the story.
So 5 years ago, I was like, I feel like I have to do something because I worked in juvenile justice and I saw a lot of young people that were running away, ungovernable, and truant. And the young people that I could get into drug treatment from like emergency case staffings, or I had some victims of human trafficking, if I could get them to a safe house and get them into detox. And then it was like they would go back to the same environment. They would go back to the same high school with the same kids, girls, guys in the bathroom. And, so they were going right back to where they came from and nothing changed. And here they are trying to start a new life. And so I kept seeing these students and I'm like, if there's only like a recovery high school. So I started to research it. And 3 years ago, I found the first recovery high school in Jacksonville.
Oh, really?
Yeah, first one in Florida. And it's my friend Dan. Hey, Dan.
Hey, Dan.
He's incredible. You'd love him. He's got, I think, 35 years sober. But he's incredible. He's been my mentor for the last 3 years. And so I started to look at, okay, this is really cool. Is this something that maybe we can start over here? And I kept looking for someone else to start it.
Yeah.
Did you ever do that?
I did it with the podcast.
Yes, yeah. That's what you said. And so I started, you know what? Oh, she's qualified. Oh, wait, he's qualified. And I started to try to find someone else. And Dan's like, no. I think you're supposed to start it. No, not me. I barely passed high school. I barely got my college degree. No, not me. And then finally, last October, I went to a faith conference. And I'm sure you've experienced this where, your spirit is struggling with going somewhere. And that's when I know like the Holy Spirit's going to show up. It's going to be a divine appointment. I was struggling. Oh, do I really want to go to this conference? So I went to this conference. It was one of those situations where, we were actually in person. People weren't in masks and you could actually hug people. And I see books at this table. And so someone else was sitting at my table and here it's my friend. And I hadn't seen him in 2 years. So he comes up to me and he says, how can I pray for you opening this recovery high school? And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not opening it. He's like, yes, you are, Tina. And I'm like, oh, you've been talking to God, haven't you? And so I actually, that's when I realized, okay, you know what, God, if you're calling me to this, you got to equip me. And he's equipped me with people that are experts.
Right.
And that's what I needed.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the expert. I don't know it all. Did my husband hear that?
Yeah. Well, we'll
I don't hear it all.
I'll mute that out of the final cut.
I don't know it all.
We'll drop that in post-production. She does know it all.
You know, my husband, we've been married for 17 years. He told me one time I was right. I said, honey, I think I'm wrong. He's like, you're right.
Oh, that hurts.
So anyways, so I thought, okay, God, you got to equip me. And he has just been bringing these people into my life, left and right and backwards and forward. And it's just been amazing. And I could not have done it without these people.
Yeah.
So I've formed a board of directors with 9 incredible, passionate people. Only a few of them are in recovery. Most of them have been impacted by someone's addictions in their family. And so that's what's incredible is these are passionate people that are recovery allies. And so they're ready to fight the fight, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how it's been working is just telling people about it and sharing, like, we're going to have a safe, healing-centered environment for our young people that they can come to and receive free mental health services, free recovery support, and free education. Like, how awesome is that?
And that's what gave me the idea. This gave me the idea for the show because I watched the car interview you did with one of your partners last week or the week before on getting funding for the,
yes.
We're going to talk a little bit about
this.
Yeah.
My board chair. She's my board chair.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, that's pretty interesting because I didn't know what it was. In fact, when we spoke, I said, is this like you're teaching people to be recovery coaches or what? But when I heard what it really was, I'm like, well, that's pretty epic. That's a great idea.
It is.
So, but it was the idea, it was you talking to her that gave me the idea that more people should hear and know about this. And that's kind of what we're doing here today. So where are you at now with the project? How far along are you in this project?
Wow. So I quit my day job with Department of Juvenile Justice. So God told me June 17th, he's like, you need to resign from your day job because I was taking all of my vacation time, all of my sick leave, for the recovery school, like meetings and just work, for the recovery school. And it got to a point where I'm like, okay, I have to resign from my government job. So I resigned from a state government job. My last day was July 30th, and it's been amazing ever since. Let me tell you, God has provided, where he guides, he provides.
Yeah.
And I have not had to worry about paying a bill ever since. It's just been incredible. So I was hired as the executive director of Florida Recovery Schools on August 17th.
Nice. So you set up a foundation basically to get this, a nonprofit to get it all together. And we're going to show your, real quick, we'll show your website. So tell us what we're looking at. We're looking at it as well as the folks out there. So this is your website for the Florida Recovery Schools of Tampa Bay. And
if you scroll down, and you'll see our mission. And
Excellent.
So we accept ages 14 to 19. And then those are the 3 principles. So recovery, education, community. And then if you scroll down, there's our vision. And see, to give you an idea, our vision is to open a recovery school. And this is Dan, and then Anna's in Orlando, and then Elizabeth's in Broward County. So there's a couple recovery high schools that are going to be opening up at the same time in January. And one of the things that our vision is to have a recovery high school in every county in Florida. So we'll be starting in Pasco here, and my vision for Tampa Bay area is to have a recovery high school in Pasco, Hillsborough, Pinellas, and Manatee counties within 10 years.
So they can contact you directly here, and they can donate their time, talent, or treasure. So if you have teachers willing to help with this project, or local businesses who would really benefit from kind of getting these kids back on the straight and narrow, right? The potential employees down the road.
If you scroll down the page, you'll see where it says, okay, so right there, so that was our fundraising goal until December is $41,000, and then we've had 26 donors. We have a GoFundMe as well, but actually, task force meeting, we've had 5 so far. I got to update that. But that's how many people, 10,000 people have I actually talked to about this in different meetings. And
Really?
Yes, yeah. And so everyone can go there, find all the information about us, who, can enroll. Like I said, we offer free mental health services, free recovery support.
And this is all, it's all paid for these kids. Their families won't have to come up with the money for this.
They will not.
We'll rely on community donations
Yes.
and volunteers and stuff like that to get this done. So
Mm-hmm.
because somebody named Cindy commented that she's a teacher and would love to get involved in this.
Oh.
So she can contact you at that website.
Yes.
And just tell you it's the lady from the show,
Yeah.
the lady that was watching the
That
show.
would be great.
And maybe we can begin to build a team around this thing. So and then you have an event coming up, and this is a local event, correct?
Yes.
So what are we looking at there?
So the Art of Recovery, this is our first annual art auction fundraiser event. And it's this Saturday, September 26th from 12 to 2. So you can come in person. It's at Holiday Bible Church, which is just down the road, a mile stretch. Or you can actually tune in on Facebook.com, Florida Recovery Schools of Tampa Bay, and actually watch us. Right there's the page. So you can actually watch us Facebook Live. We're going to have the event.
Oh, you're going to stream it live?
Yes, stream
That'll
it
be
live.
awesome.
And then all of the artwork is actually going to be the bidding on our Facebook page. And they can bid on beautiful, beautiful pieces of art. Let me tell you, from watercolor paintings to, we just had a photograph of the blood moon.
Oh, really?
It's beautiful.
Beautiful, huh?
Beautiful. So it's a wide variety, over 30 pieces of artwork that's going to be donated. 100% of proceeds goes towards the Recovery High School.
So your Facebook, so people know, is it's facebook.com and then / Florida Recovery Schools of Tampa Bay, which is also your website, so it becomes very easy to remember.
Yes.
And I'll put these links in the description below for the final product up on the YouTube channel, so they'll be able to reach you there. And then this is the information on the art event that's coming up.
Yes. And thank
that's
you
this
so much
Saturday.
to our sponsors, Trinity Church of Christ, Dance Therapy with Sybil, Advanced Recovery Systems is a sponsor, as well as Insight Program and Fair Market Works, right? I can't see that far. I think that's what it says.
Yes, that's what it says. And you are plugging my competition. You're plugging a different church.
Oh, I'm
so
sorry.
I'm thinking to raise money, maybe Jerry and I could have a cage match.
Yeah.
Or
arm muscle.
two pastors fighting to the death to raise money for kids.
Jello, but it's got to be in Jello. It's got
paintball.
There you go.
We got a big campus. Me and Jerry get in paintball.
Oh, that'd be incredible.
That'd
Back
be
here
awesome.
in the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we could raise money somehow. I don't know how.
That would be incredible.
You work out the details.
Okay.
Me and Jerry will
got
shoot
it.
each other.
Let me just get through this fundraiser event first Saturday, and then I'll work it out. Okay.
Yeah. Well, Jerry's a friend of mine, and we work very closely with Trinity, so they're good folks over there.
They are.
I kid because I love.
Yes.
So so we have that coming up. We have this school. We got the website out there, and the website will be in the comments section below. We're going to open the phone line so folks can call in and ask questions and comment and stuff like that, if I can make it work right. And by the way, I almost couldn't remember. I haven't done a live show in like a month and a half, and I couldn't remember the phone number for the studio. So it's not easy being me.
Oh,
so while blessed with stunning good looks, not too bright. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how I get by. I'd rather be good looking, but I don't know how I get by. I don't know how I made it this far. So we got the phone lines open. You can call us at 727-600-5837. And it's a little, I warn everybody ahead of time. I'm the engineer, the producer, the director, and the host. So I warn you ahead of time. It's awkward if you call in.
And he's the deputy sheriff, and he runs the 7-Eleven down the street.
And I also the chief bottle washer.
Yes.
So I stay pretty busy doing this podcast. When I start earning revenue with this podcast, first thing I'm going to do is hire somebody to do all this nerdy stuff that I don't enjoy.
Yeah.
But for now, I'm stuck doing it.
Well, you do a great job.
Well, thank you. Casey Robertson says Jerry is the best. Pastor Jerry at Trinity Church.
Yes.
Casey's watching. We got a few people watching here,
Hey,
and the phone lines are open. So if you want to call in the meantime, while we're waiting, maybe we'll talk about the books you brought.
Oh, sure. So I wrote 5 books because I have ADHD. And so my first book is Let Your Lessons Become Your Blessings. And so this book took me 14 years to write. And it's my testimony from birth to actually 2012 because it was published 2013. But I wanted to share with you, so this book, this is when, I'm a social worker at heart. So it's not about the income, it's about the outcome.
Yeah.
So every book that I sell of Let Your Lessons Become Your Blessings, I actually donate a book to a woman in drug treatment or incarceration, that's incarcerated, or at the strip clubs, because I used to have a strip club ministry. And I didn't dance.
I always wanted to start one of those. Everybody says it's a bad idea.
I pray. That was the first time I was ever in a strip club. Let me just tell you that. Was to go pray with the women, and go straight into the dressing room.
That's the best reason to go into a strip club.
Yeah,
as a pastor, I can tell you, if you're going to go into a strip club, pray with the lost.
Yeah, pray for those women, Yeah.
And you can aim the book at the camera, and so they can see it.
Okay, here you go. And so I actually have donated 471 now of these books to women.
Oh, wow.
Yes, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's incredible, and it's just so it warms my heart to know that there's women that are lost or feel broken and dirty.
Yeah,
and then they read my story.
Well, we had the girls from a year ago. We had the girls from Created Women in here from Tampa.
Oh, they're awesome.
And they literally go up and down Dale Mabry and rescue women from sex trafficking.
Incredible.
And take them home and feed them and get them into Scripture and get them job skills and all the things that that they were lacking that kind of put them in that position in the first place.
I was actually trained by them and these other, they call them the church ladies over in Hillsborough County. Yeah. They trained me for the strip club ministry. And then I came over here in Pinellas and actually started it.
So people don't realize, and I didn't realize, I'll be honest with you, when I was interviewing them, that this was such a big problem.
Oh, yeah.
When you hear sex trafficking, you think of taken, like Albanian sex traffickers or Eastern European, but it's here. When they have these big political conventions and Super Bowl and stuff down here, it is huge in Tampa Bay, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
And I had
even today. I mean, it just happens all the time.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I get so sometimes probably buried in the recovery programs that I don't realize there's other issues just outside our door, especially here in Holiday, right? So it's scary that this stuff is, and it's a blessing that people like you and people like the girls that Created Women are out there trying to make a difference, because most people don't know about it. If I didn't know about it, and I'm basically a hoodlum, nobody knows about it, right? So it's more important than ever that people begin to get this, to understand that this is not a problem at the border, right? It's not just a problem in Eastern Europe.
It's here.
It's a problem right here in surrounded by $1 million homes. It's a problem here.
Yes.
So it is. So what's the other book you brought?
So I brought Heartbeat of a Real Leader. So this is my professional book. This was my latest book. So it's discovering your strengths while celebrating others' gifts, because so often we're such critics of ourselves that we forget that we actually have strengths. And then sometimes if that's overshadowing that, we want to celebrate other people. Yeah. We want to celebrate their gifts. So these are just a few of the books that I have for sale on my website on tinatalkstruth.com. And then I brought some CDs I have for sale. I have Kenny Rogers, and then I have Beyonce.
You got to know when to hold them.
They're bootleg, by the way.
All right, we're all going to jail. Call your lawyer and turn yourself in.
Oh, my goodness. I do not own the rights of these songs. No.
Well, I won't say anything. I won't tell a Kenny Rogers joke because I'm very mature now.
Okay,
it took a long time, but it hit me. I'm very mature now. Just the idea that there's people trying to make a difference. And again, we go back to the recovery high schools, Florida Recovery Schools at Tampa Bay. We called it, you first pitched it to me as Recovery High School, which is so important. We talked before the show about young people. When we started getting sober, it was like me in New York and you in Akron, and that was kind of it. There wasn't a lot of young people. And so it was it's very weird to, you go out now to the rooms and they have whole young people groups, right? But this this opioid epidemic that we're dealing with right now, especially here in Holiday or West Pasco or Tampa Bay or Florida for that matter, the whole country, we're talking very, very young people. When I preach in jail, and I don't do it much anymore, but I was going every week for years, and these kids are in for a lot less than I ever did, you know. And they're in big boy jail waiting to go to big boy prison, and they're 19 years old. You know, they don't have to shave yet. And they're it's just, and I would help them as best as I could, and 6 months or a year later, I'd see them again. You know, so it is the idea of something you talked about a little bit earlier, but something has to break the cycle for these kids. So if they know nothing else, they're going to go back. If I got in trouble, as soon as I got out, I would go right back to the neighborhood, right back to the people I knew, where I was comfortable, where I was able to generate an income of some sort, and that's what they understand. The structure at home may not be there for them, right? Single parent homes is, you know, astronomical right now. So it is half these kids really don't know who their dad is, right? These boys have no male role model at all except for bad guys. So it is
it's a parentless generation.
Yeah.
We, you know, where we used to have like, you know, one parent households, and but now we have parentless generations.
And even if they have two parents, they're disconnected or working two jobs, or I mean, they're barely able to get by. They're a big complaint I've had for 20 or 30 years now is that we've gotten to the point where we want society to raise our kids for us. And so we plop them, don't put anything on the TV that's going to offend me, because my kids might say, well, they're your kids, it's your TV. You need to know what they're watching, you know? You shouldn't give your kids computers. Well, that depends, really, on what they're looking at. I'm raising a little genius. He's on the computer all the time, and but he's not watching pornography or anything bizarre, you know. He's you could watch positive things. They put down YouTube all the time. I watch a lot of YouTube. I just don't, you know, I'm not hip on the latest TikTok, perhaps, but there's a lot of good things available for every age group.
Oh, yeah.
But there's no structure for these kids to steer them towards this stuff, you know. So it is the idea of taking these kids from school A, putting them in school B, where it's safe, it's still paid for. The influence of the drugs and alcohol aren't completely engulfing them right now, right? You take young girls, and they need to know that they don't have to lead with their sexuality on social media. If you lead with sexuality, you're going to be treated like a sex object, right? You have more to offer the world than just that.
Yes.
And I almost fear for you and what's ahead of you, because it's spinning so far out of control right now that these kids would just interrupt that insanity for a second and get back to, you know, it's important that you're articulate. It's like public speaking. It's important. We joke about being comedians and public speakers, but it's an important skill.
Yes.
I mean, if you go to apply for a job and you can't construct a sentence, or every word is I'm probably not hiring you, even as a plumber, right? So it's so important that they have that full service of addiction recovery, social and psychiatric recovery, emotional recovery. A lot of these kids have been abused. Yeah. And then the other thing is, you can't forget the academics. It's just as important, you know. So it is. When you told me what the idea was, and I really gave it some thought, I was thrilled to do this show, because I consider myself a pretty good father, pretty involved father with all my kids, and somebody told me like 4% of the single-parent homes are fathers. It's almost always mothers, and so and they got to hustle, they got to work, you know, sometimes 2 jobs. So it's almost insurmountable unless you interrupt that cycle. It's almost insurmountable, the troubles we face. So the ability to apply something like this to, you know, everybody's life, you know. That's why it's so important that these businesses get in contact with you and people that have more than they need. Bless you with the resources, again, time, talent, and treasure, whatever you got to make this happen, because these kids on the street are a liability to your company right now. And they could, with the right guidance, be turned into an asset for your company right now.
Absolutely.
So these businesses have skin in this game. They think they don't, but they do. And addiction, no respecter of persons. I mean, I've sat down and drank coffee with a lawyer and a homeless person at the same time, and all three of us had the same problem, right? So I just encourage people not to wait till this is at their doorstep, because whether they realize it or not, it's affecting their business right now if they don't get involved. You know?
So they actually say, there's been governmental studies that actually show that when a person is struggling with addictions, and when you look at the hospitalizations, you look at the incarceration, you look at the crimes that they've committed, and it's cost society like $25,000 per year for that individual. And our school, even though it's tuition free, I still have to remember that there's a price, that it's going to cost us to actually educate and provide these, services.
And to do it well,
$7,500 a year for one student.
Yeah.
So that's a huge savings. Society is going to win. This is a win-win.
Yeah.
The win-win situation with the individual, the families, and society.
Yeah, and they have the opportunity to donate to a charity. Like their accountant's going to tell them in October they need to spend some money, buy a new forklift or help some kids.
Yes, please. We're tax deductible. Thank you for bringing that up. We're a 501c3, IRS approved charitable school.
Yeah.
So it's tax deductible.
Yeah. So it is. It's an opportunity. I think people don't realize what an impact they can make with just really almost extra money from their business. People think that, and we talked a little bit about this off the air. I thought I was broke till I got hurt, and then I ran out of money, and that was broke. What I was prior to that was bad with money, so I felt broke. But when I had no money, I was broke, and still raising a boy by myself. So you can do both. You can drive the Lexus, you can have a boat, you can take the vacations, and you can help your community and bear fruit that way. In other words, shore up your local community. You've shored up your local business by lowering the liability of drug addicts in the streets and homeless people, and then adding to the fact that you have a selection of highly qualified, trained employees when this is over.
Yes.
So, I mean, they'd be foolish not to invest in this, and I know they don't. And they won't listen to us, but there's businesses out there that will, and it will. They could really make a difference. So, let's hope that is the case. The phone lines are open. The phone number disappeared. A computer glitch, but I fixed it. But it's 727-600-5837. We're already, believe it or not, and I told you time would go fast. We're 45 minutes into this thing.
Wow.
We'll keep the phone lines open for a little bit longer, and we'll discuss kind of the recovery school relative to from its inception, from when you first had the idea, you were able to build. People got behind this. This is a great idea. So people got behind this idea, both with their educational background, say, and their financial background, and have been able to lean into this thing.
Yes.
So things like the art sale will raise money to help pull this thing off. You're still looking for, do you have a location anywhere? You're still looking for locations where? We're
actually in negotiations for a location, so...
So that would be foundational. That would be super important.
Yes.
And then once you have a working model, then it could be repeated in other communities. Once you have a working model that's producing fruit, right, in the community A, business owners in community B are going to want a part of that, going to want a piece of that. So there is an opportunity here to really make a difference, not just in the state, but the truth is you could repeat this anywhere. You can go on and on and on. Florida happens to be a state in heavy need, right?
Yes.
We got a lot of young people that are struggling. They're struggling with addiction. They're struggling with their self-esteem. We have a whole generation that derives all their self-worth from social media,
Yeah.
And I do it myself. I'll go back and look to see how many likes I got or how many laughs I got or something like that on a joke on Facebook. And to us, in our generation, maybe it's kind of funny, but it's not funny. It's serious business for kids that are. That's their social connection, right?
Yeah.
That's where they think they're going to meet a man or a woman on social media. That's where they think their success is going to be an Instagram model, right?
Yes.
You know, there's no money in that. That's not a career. You know,
Yeah.
you need to be able to present yourself and to provide for yourself, whatever your side hustle may be, so long as it's legal and moral. Whatever your side hustle might be, end of the day, you're going to have to be able to provide for yourself. When you get in your 20s, nobody thinks you're cute anymore. When you're in your 30s, they don't care how bad your childhood is. They expect you to pay your bills, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I had a rough childhood, which worked when I was a teenager to get me sympathy. But you still crying, you still singing that same tune in your 20s and 30s. Nobody's listening. Nobody's dancing anymore, you know. So they need to really be aware of the freedom that comes along with being independent like that, you know. And so I think there's certainly the harvest is plenty in this case, and you know, with this idea, I think the workers are going to be plenty. There's going to be plenty of people that want to get into and behind this thing. So on that note, if there's anything I can do for you guys, certainly email me or message me at godlogicproject.com. If you simply just need prayer, if you're struggling with addiction or have a family member struggling with addiction, if you want to get involved with the Recovery High School process and program, whatever it is, if I can help, I certainly will. I have a lot of resources around the state and outside of the state of Florida as a kind of a hub of the community here with the podcast. So if I can help you, I certainly will. Message me, godlogicproject.com. I'll be glad to help. And we have a growing list of folks like yourself that are providing services for these kids. And now in the COVID lockdown, I mean, a lot of the private money is dried up for recovery programs, you know. It's become tougher and tougher to be there for people. So if you have a business right now that's doing well, now's your chance. I mean, now's your calling to be a stopgap measure at least until things get cranking again, you know. Some businesses went out of business, but some of them thrived in this crazy environment. And they could they're in position to make a real impact on the people that are suffering from all this.
Hey, the people that make the plexiglass, I bet you they never thought that they'd have a booming business right now, or face masks. Like, whoa.
Yeah, who thought that, what is it, N95? Did you ever hear of N95 until this broke out, and then all of a sudden that's like the face mask to have?
Yes. Yeah.
I know people that are making a couple of bucks from home making cool face masks.
Yeah.
My daughter made me this. Oh, wait, I guess I better put myself on the camera.
Oh.
One nation under God, get it?
Yeah.
So there's people making cool face masks. So, and that's admirable. So people are in the same hard times that everybody else is in. They're finding a way to make it work, right?
Yes, yeah.
And that is, I think, personal responsibility, which is the core of the gospel message, is personal responsibility. It's your relationship.
It's doing the footwork, you know.
It's your relationship with the. We got knocked off the air, I think. What the heck is going on? I think we might have been knocked off the air.
Oh, okay.
So we can wrap it up. Let me see if I can fix it. No. I didn't even notice. We got knocked off the air. I don't think we've been off the air very long. But that's the Godlogic Project.
Yes.
I want to thank Tina Levene for being in here.
Thank you.
We're still recording it, so I guess I could take down the live one and put up the recorded one. So, again, it would help to have an engineer in the studio to handle these things when I'm not looking. That's it. I want to thank Tina for being in here today. Tina, I'm going to put you on camera if you're going to give anybody just a minute or two of advice, how to move forward, set themselves free from whatever they feel like they're stuck underneath, and especially in 2020. What would you tell them? What would be your elevator speech for what you do, and what are some of the solutions for them?
Which camera do I look at?
Right there.
Okay. So no matter what your circumstance, whatever it is that you're going through, I just want you to remember that God has an awesome, awesome plan for you, and that there's hope. Even, the scripture says about faith at the size of a mustard seed. And I don't know if you've ever seen a mustard seed, but it's tiny. It's so tiny, tiny, tiny. But, when I struggled with atheism and I didn't believe in a higher power and I didn't believe in God, and I remember hearing that scripture, and then I remember hearing Jeremiah 29:11. And for the plans I have for you Our plans, not disaster, because I thought, oh, my life is disastrous. I didn't think I was going to live to be 24 years old. But when you give your life to God, and especially open your heart to Jesus, he does just incredible things out of you. And he definitely takes your mess and makes it a message.
Amen.
And so I just want to encourage you that no matter what you're going through right now, there is hope.
Amen. Absolutely right. And that's I want to thank you again, Tina, for being in here. I got super stoked about this topic as we began to talk about it. Again, I want to thank you guys for supporting the Godlogic Project on Anchor.fm as a project partner, or even just shopping on Amazon through the godlogicproject.com, and subscribing, commenting, participating in the show. We do this so you guys can be part of a live show and not just a recorded show. Unfortunately, we may be mostly a recorded show or partially a recorded show this week. That's it. If no one's told you they love you today, God loves you. So do we. Receive that. Be blessed, and we'll speak soon. Thank you. Thank you for supporting the Godlogic Project. And if no one's told you they love you today, God loves you. So do I. Receive that. Be blessed. We'll speak soon.
This has been a Rev Kev production. Your mileage may vary.
Shut up, Kevin.